Our closer look now at a new senator shaking up the Democratic Party. Elizabeth Warren's tough take on Wall Street has made her a folk hero on the left, even before the release of her latest book, A Fighting Chance. And as ABC's Jeff Zeleny reports, her tour is stirring up all kinds of speculation.
Hopeful Democrats are lining up, eagerly awaiting the first woman president.
If she runs, she may be the first woman president.
I think she'd be fantastic.
They're not talking about Hillary Clinton. They're excited about this woman, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, it's good to be home.
A U.S. senator for only a year, she's now making an even bigger splash. Her new book is a middle-class manifesto.
No one should work full-time and still live in poverty. That's an issue we've got to deal with.
And many liberal Democrats hope a roadmap for the party's future. A draft movement is already underway. But so far, Warren says no thanks.
I'm not running for president. I'm not running for president. I'm not running for president. You can ask it lots of different ways.
When you hear Elizabeth Warren saying, look, I'm not running for president now, you take her to word. Yeah.
Oh, I do. I do. First of all, it would be foolish. And she's not foolish.
Why?
Because Hillary Clinton is iconic.
But Warren is a popular draw on the fundraising circuit, already raising $1.6 million this year for Democrats. The left is looking for a fighter and a fiery populist.
Mr. Secretary, I come from a world of Chapter 11. People default all the time. They negotiate down on their obligations, and they do not bring down the entire
You're exactly right. And
Some moderate Democrats fear her economic populism is a dead end for the party. But to her admirers, she's a political celebrity. And even if her name's not on the ballot, her ideas may still drive the race. For This Week, Jeff Zeleny, ABC News, Cambridge, Massachusetts.
And Senator Warren joins us now. So, Senator, this book, A Fighting Chance, the first step about having ideas drive the agenda right now in Washington, both now and in the future. How do you build on it?
Well, the basic message in the book is one about how it is we create a fighting chance. We've done this before. But what's happening now is that we've got a Washington that works for those who can hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers. Their voices get heard in Washington, and the rules get tilted in their favor. Working families, not so much. And all we've got on our side, really, are our voices and our votes. And this is about how to level the playing field.
You described some pretty tense encounters with President Obama and his team, including Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner. Has he fallen short in your estimation?
Who?
President Obama.
You know, look, I make no secret out of my differences with the administration in how they've treated the large financial institutions. But at the same time, as I talk about extensively in the book, I fought for a consumer agency that would keep people from getting cheated on credit cards and mortgages. If we hadn't had President Obama in the White House, who stood up strong for that agency, who fought for that agency, we never would have gotten it into law. And I think that's powerfully important.
As you know, the critics say the agency hasn't done all that much. One criminal prosecution.
Oh, wow, really? That's not what I've heard from the critics. The critics I've heard about are really worried about what the agency is doing, and that is that little agency has just been in place for a couple of years. It has already forced the largest financial institutions to return more than $3 billion to customers whom they cheated. I think that's an agency that's up, that's strong, that's feisty, and that's going.
You've been pretty clear, and we showed it in Jeff Zeleny's piece, that you say you're not running for president in 2016. It seems like you just affirmed it again. You also signed a letter, several senators signed a letter earlier this year encouraging Hillary Clinton to run. So is she your candidate in 2016?
You know, all of the women, Democratic women, I should say, of the Senate urged Hillary Clinton to run, and I hope she does.
You hope she does, and if she does, she is your candidate.
Hillary is terrific.
You know, you've said she's terrific very many times. You say that again in this book, A Fighting Chance. But this book leaves out something of a pointed criticism from your earlier book, The Two-Income Trap. There you praised First Lady Hillary Clinton for her opposition to this bankruptcy bill pushed by the big banks. But go on to talk about how she, as New York Senator, seemed she could not afford that principled position. Senator Clinton received $140,000 in campaign contributions from banking industry executives in a single year. Big banks were now part of Senator Clinton's constituency. She wanted their support, and they wanted hers, including a vote in favor of that awful bill. So do you think that, are you worried that somehow she will bow to big business? Those were your words in that book, if she becomes president.
Look, I've made it clear all the way through this book, and really what I've been working on for the last 25 years, that I'm worried a lot about power in the financial services industry. And I'm worried about the fact that basically starting in the 80s, you know, the cops were taken off the beat in financial services. These guys were allowed to just paint a bullseye on the backsides of American families. They loaded up on risk. They crashed the economy. They got bailed out. And what bothers me now is they still strut around Washington. They block regulations that they don't want. They roll over agencies whenever they can. And
would they roll over Hillary Clinton?
Well, they break the law and still don't end up being held accountable for it and going to jail. One of the things that I focus on really hard throughout this book is that is one of the prime examples of how the playing field is tilted and how we've got to push back against it. It's a central issue for me. It's something I'm going to keep talking about, and I'm going to keep talking about it with everyone.
Right, but I'm just saying, do you think Hillary Clinton will push back on that as well?
I'm going to keep talking about this issue, and I'm going to keep pushing on this issue.
Winning over Democrats, though, is only half the battle. How do you build a coalition with Republicans? Are there, for example, Republican senators right now you can work with on these issues?
Not only that I can work with, that I am working with. My partner on a new Glass-Steagall bill, something to separate so that banking is boring and risk-taking takes place on Wall Street, not with your savings account and your checking account. A new Glass-Steagall bill. I have one in place, a bill with John McCain, with Angus King, an independent from Maine, Maria Cantwell, a Democrat from Washington. We've pulled together a very strong, tough bill that stands up to the financial services industry. We're working together on that, and we'll keep working on it.
Final question. It might surprise a lot of your supporters to know that you were a registered Republican as recently as 1996.
No, I think that's a little late.
1996 in Pennsylvania, but that's what I read at least. And I was just wondering, what drew you to the GOP, and why did you leave?
You know, I was originally an independent. I was with the GOP for a while because I really thought that it was a party that was principled in its conservative approach to economics and to markets. And I feel like the GOP party just left that they moved to a party that said, no, it's not about a level playing field. It's now about a field that's gotten tilted. And they really stood up for the big financial institutions when the big financial institutions are just hammering middle-class American families. You know, I just feel like that's a party that moved way, way away.
Senator Warren, thanks very much for your time this morning. The book is called A Fighting Chance.